When people hear the word clown, they usually think of cute and cheerful comedians who make people laugh. In the 1970s, there was a very enthusiastic and kind construction contractor from Chicago. He loved dressing up as a clown to entertain children at charity events and birthday parties. But who could have imagined that behind that appearance hid an extremely evil soul? He became one of the most infamous serial killers in American history, and his name was John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown. You are watching the case of John Wayne Gacy, the serial killer who disguised himself as a clown and terrified the American people, on the channel Horrifying Documents. And as usual, if this story leaves an impression on you, don't hesitate to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated with the most classic crime cases. John Wayne Gacy was born in March 1942 in Chicago. His father was a car mechanic, and his mother was a housewife. He was the second son in the family, with one older sister and one younger sister. When he was young, Gacy ate a lot, exercised very little, and was overweight, so he had almost no friends. Usually, only his mother and two sisters accompanied him throughout his childhood. When Gacy was 11 years old, he fell off a swing and hit his head hard on the ground. At first, it seemed fine, but in reality, it caused internal damage. When he was 16, doctors diagnosed him with a brain blood clot caused by that childhood injury. 1 year later, Gacy was diagnosed with a heart condition. His health problems did not weaken his ambition. At the age of 18, he started participating in politics and became an assistant district representative for the Democratic Party. In 1963, at the age of 21, Gacy graduated from Northwestern Business College. 1 year, he was promoted to department manager. In September of that year, he married his coworker Marlene. Marlene's father was a wealthy man. He purchased 3 KFC restaurants in Waterloo, Iowa, and allowed Marlene and Gacy to manage them. The couple moved there and had 2 children. However, their relationship quickly showed signs of strain, and the marriage lasted only 5 years. After the divorce, custody of the children and all assets went to Marlene. She also took the 2 children and left Iowa shortly afterward. At that time, Gacy was 29 years old. He returned to his hometown of Chicago and worked as a cook at a local restaurant. With his mother's help, Gacy bought a house on West Somerdale Avenue in Norwood Park Township. In August of that year, Gacy and his mother moved into the newly purchased house. Not long after that, Gacy reunited with Karen, his high school girlfriend. To provide a wealthy and comfortable life for himself and his girlfriend, he founded a construction company called PDM, specializing in painting, decorating, and maintenance. During the day, he worked as a cook at a restaurant, and at night he worked hard for his company. Their relationship developed well, so after 1 year, they registered their marriage. Karen had gone through an unsuccessful marriage before, so she brought her 2 daughters from her previous relationship to live with Gacy. Gacy's mother voluntarily moved out of the house before the wedding to avoid affecting their romantic life. 2 years after marriage, Gacy quit his cooking job to focus entirely on his construction company. At first, his company did not have many customers and only handled small repair jobs. Later, the business expanded and began designing interiors, decorating, and landscaping. The rapid growth of the company forced Gacy to work at least 16 hours a day, sometimes even late into the night, leaving him no time for his family. Therefore, in March, when he was 34 years old, they divorced, ending a 5-year marriage. Although Gacy was unhappy in marriage, in the eyes of neighbors, he was a kind and positive person. He even voluntarily cleared snow from the streets in the neighborhood after every heavy snowfall. From 1974 to 1978, Gacy held annual summer parties with more than 400 guests attending, including politicians. Gacy actively participated in local Democratic Party politics and was highly regarded, becoming a district representative. On May 6, 1978, Gacy was invited and photographed with U.S. First Lady Rosalynn Carter. However, it seemed that Gacy was hiding a secret that no one knew, and he had done insane things. Everything began on December 11, 1978. That night in Des Plaines, northwest of Chicago, a woman called the police to report that her son was missing. Her son, Robert was 15 years old and worked part-time at a local pharmacy called Nissen Pharmacy. That day was Robert's birthday, so his mother drove to the pharmacy to pick him up and celebrate. Robert told his mother that he could not go home immediately because a construction contractor had come and wanted to hire him for a short-term job with double the salary compared to the pharmacy. Robert planned to meet the contractor to learn more about the job and then return home to celebrate his birthday with his mother. After the mother returned home, she waited until 11 p.m., but Robert still had not returned and had not called. Worried about her son's safety, she called the police for help. After receiving the report, the police immediately began investigating and interviewed the pharmacy owner. The owner said that around 9 p.m., Robert left the pharmacy. Earlier, a construction worker named Gacy had come to the pharmacy to discuss work. The police then focused their investigation on Gacy. Gacy lived in Norwood Park, east of Des Plaines, and was a well-known person in the community. In addition, Gacy was a member of a clown club and often dressed as a clown to give gifts to children. Everyone loved the clown character played by Gacy. According to investigations, in the 4th year of his first marriage to Marlene, Gacy had been sentenced to 10 years in prison for child molestation in Waterloo, Iowa. He was also suspected of beating teenagers and molesting several boys. This was also when his first wife, Marlene, requested a divorce. Gacy's homosexual behavior had been exposed early, but Marlene did not know. Gacy hired many teenagers to work at the KFC restaurants and opened a club in the basement where employees drank alcohol and played pool. Before assaulting these boys, Gacy often made them drink large amounts of alcohol. During his imprisonment at Anamosa State Prison, Gacy was still considered a model inmate. After being in prison for a few months, Gacy was promoted to cook and actively participated in projects to improve prison conditions. After only 18 months, Gacy's sentence was reduced, and he returned to Chicago. After marrying Karen, she often saw Gacy bringing strange teenage boys home, so she asked why he brought these boys to the house. Gacy realized his secret had been exposed and confessed that he was homosexual. After that, they separated and eventually divorced. On the second night after Robert disappeared, 2 police officers called Gacy's house. Gacy, 36 years old, told the police that on the day of the incident, he had indeed gone to the pharmacy, but there were 2 employees there, so he did not know Robert. Gacy claimed that he did not invite Robert to work at a construction site. He said he only went to ask if the pharmacy needed any repairs. When the police asked Gacy to come to the station, he said his uncle had just died and he would be late. At 3:20 a.m. the next day, Gacy appeared at the police station covered in mud, and the underside of his car was also muddy. Gacy said he had just been in a car accident, and this was confirmed. Facing police questions, Gacy denied all accusations related to the disappearance and emphasized that he never offered Robert a job. During the interrogation, a search warrant requested by the police was finally approved. They quickly went to Gacy's house on West Somerdale Avenue. Police found many suspicious items, including police badges and a gun in a drawer. In the bathroom, police found a camera, handcuffs, and several books about homosexuality. In the closet, they also found a men's underwear that was not Gacy's size. In the bedroom trash can, police found a receipt from Nissen Pharmacy and a 91-centimeter nylon rope. Police decided to seize Gacy's car and all vehicles from the PDM construction company and assigned 2 teams to monitor Gacy continuously. On the 4th day after Robert disappeared, police received a call from a witness who said that a person named Gregory had disappeared a year earlier. Also that year, a worker named Charles who worked for Gacy drowned in a river in Illinois. The witness believed both had been murdered and likely connected to Gacy. The next day, a man named Jeffrey reported that Gacy had tricked him into a car, attacked and tortured him, and then left him at Lincoln Park. Although police monitored Gacy for 24 hours, he remained calm and even invited officers to eat and drink with him. On the afternoon of the 8th day after Robert's disappearance, Gacy drove to a lawyer's office to sue the Des Plaines police, demanding they stop surveillance and requesting $750,000 in compensation. That same day, police identified Kimberly, Robert's co-worker, based on the pharmacy receipt found in Gacy's house. On the day of the incident, Kimberly wore a jacket with the receipt in the pocket. When Robert said he was leaving to meet the contractor, Kimberly gave him the jacket. This proved Robert had been with Gacy, contradicting Gacy's earlier statement. A man named Rosie who had bought Gacy's car said that the previous summer, Gacy asked him to go to Gacy's basement and spread 10 bags of quicklime. Police felt something was wrong. During the previous search, they had ignored the basement. Therefore, police immediately requested a second search warrant. At the same time, Gacy's lawyer filed a civil lawsuit against the Des Plaines police, and the trial was scheduled to take place 3 days later. The next day, police asked Rosie where Gacy could have hidden Robert's body. Rosie said Gacy might have hidden it under the floor. Gacy realized arrest was inevitable, so that day he visited and hugged several friends to say goodbye. After drinking heavily, Gacy confessed to friends that he had buried victims under his house. He also said he had dumped 5 bodies into a river. The next day, Gacy drove to another friend's house, hugged him, and revealed in tears that he had killed 30 people. That was the last free day of Gacy's life. Police learned about his confessions and suspected he might commit suicide, so they arrested him immediately. After his arrest, police went to Gacy's house and discovered that he had flooded the crawl space with wastewater. After pumping out the water, police began digging and within minutes found a decomposing body. Due to the advanced decomposition, they ruled out the possibility that it was Robert. Later, police found 3 skulls of other victims. On the second day after arrest, Gacy confessed that he had killed about 30 young men. Gacy said most of them were runaways. He searched for them at train stations or on the streets of Chicago. Gacy used various methods to lure them into his car, such as offering high-paying jobs. If they resisted, he used violence to attack and kidnap them. He handcuffed the victims, then sexually assaulted and tortured them. Finally, he strangled them with a rope until they died. Gacy said that harming others gave him intense pleasure. Police spent a week digging under Gacy's house and were shocked to discover 27 bodies. Among them, 26 bodies were found under the bedroom, living room, kitchen, and bathroom floors. 1 body was found under the garage. In addition, 3 more bodies were found in the Des Plaines River. Gacy buried the victims underground and poured quicklime to accelerate decomposition. Gacy could not remember exactly how many bodies he buried. When asked about Robert, Gacy admitted he had killed him. On March 9th, the 28th body was found in a pit near the backyard grill. 7 days later, the 29th body was found under the restaurant floor. Using forensic technology, police identified 32 bodies. 3 of them were found in the Des Plaines River. Among the identified victims, the youngest was 14 years old and the oldest was 21 years old. 5 others remained unidentified but were estimated to be between 14 and 30 years old. 1 month later, a man called police and reported finding a decomposed body caught on a tree root along the Des Plaines River. Forensic experts confirmed the victim was Robert. Gacy's tragic childhood twisted his psychology. His father was an alcoholic and frequently beat his wife and children. So Gacy's relationship with his father was very bad. When Gacy was 5 years old, he was sexually fondled by a 15-year-old girl while visiting a neighbor. When Gacy was 6 years old, he damaged parts of a car engine his father was repairing and was beaten with a belt. His mother tried to protect him but was heavily criticized by his father. His father called Gacy weak and effeminate. When Gacy was 7 years old, his father's friends sexually assaulted him in a truck. Out of fear, he never told his father. Gacy's first job was as a security guard at a morgue. One night, he climbed into the coffin of a young deceased man and hugged and touched the body, feeling a strange pleasure. During his second marriage, Gacy joined a clown club and dressed as a clown named Pogo to lure boys to his house. He showed them adult films and forced them to have sexual relations with him. If they resisted, he beat them. Gacy used the image of a cheerful clown to lure teenagers to satisfy his desires. He had abnormal tendencies toward boys but did not kill anyone until he met Timothy, his first victim. Gacy met Timothy at a Chicago bus station and offered him a ride. He took Timothy sightseeing around Chicago and invited him to stay overnight. The next morning, Gacy saw Timothy standing at his bedroom door holding a knife. Gacy panicked and tried to grab the knife, and Timothy accidentally cut Gacy's hand. Gacy believed Timothy was trying to kill him, so he slammed Timothy's head against the wall. Timothy tried to punch Gacy to escape, but this only enraged him more. Gacy threw Timothy to the ground and stabbed him repeatedly in the chest. After Timothy died, Gacy washed the knife and went to the kitchen, where he saw breakfast on the table. Timothy had woken up early to prepare breakfast and went to wake Gacy. Gacy realized he had made a terrible mistake, but it was too late. He buried Timothy under the floor and poured concrete over the body. From that moment, his pleasure no longer came from normal sexual desire. The monster inside him awakened, and he committed 32 murders. Until his arrest, he never felt remorse. In February 1980, the case was brought to trial in Cook County Court. After 1 month of trial, the court convicted Gacy of 33 counts of murder, sexual assault, child abuse, and other charges, and sentenced him to death. Gacy refused to accept the sentence and appealed. In mid-1984, the Illinois Supreme Court upheld the sentence, and his lawyers continued to file appeals. On the evening of May 9, 1994, Gacy, aged 52, was allowed a final meal with his family in prison. That was the last meal of his life. The next morning, under the prayers of a Catholic priest, Gacy was executed by lethal injection. According to reports, Gacy was diagnosed with mental illness and showed no remorse for his crimes. Even in his final statement before execution, Gacy arrogantly said that the death penalty could not compensate for the victims' losses. The killer clown John Wayne Gacy received his punishment, but among the victims discovered, 5 remain unidentified, and their families are still waiting for answers. What do you think about this twisted killer? Leave your opinion in the comments. And before you leave, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with the most classic true crime cases on my channel.